Hello and welcome to Kia e-Niro Diaries on the 15th of March 2024. So 55 years ago today, I was at the old Wembley with my dad watching Swindon Town defeat the mighty Arsenal in the League Cup final. And 5 years ago today, I was taking delivery of the e-Niro. So anyway, we're off to Niro today to do a bit of shopping. But just to let you know, the car has done, at this exact 5-year point, 97,849 kilometres, which in miles, if that's your thing, 60,666. 666, number of the beast. Ooh, scary. Yeah, and there are 8 furlongs in a mile, apparently. Remember that from school days. And at the end, I'll do all the stats on, you know, how many kilometres we've done this year, what the efficiency's been like, and sort of what that's cost us. Anyway, until later. You're on. So, on the 5th anniversary of taking delivery of the e-Niro, I'm actually driving the Niro EV. They're having a promotional day at the dealers in Niro, and so this is how it looks. Just going to have a drive around in it for 10-15 minutes. Yeah, very nice. Different kind of layout here. Feels slightly bigger, don't you think, Mrs. e-Niro?
I think it feels very big and high.
Yeah, I think though that your seat is way back, which is fair enough.
Heated steering wheel.
Heated,
cold mornings.
Heated steering wheel. Different, and well, it's showing 14.915 kilowatt hours per 100 kilometers, which I don't know who's been driving it before me, but yeah, so a bit quieter than ours, would you say? Little bit quieter, not much difference.
Wouldn't like to say.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, first drive of the Niro EV. Guess our friendly English-speaking chap at the Kia dealership said, "Go on, have a drive." So there we are. Here we are. So that little test drive of the Niro EV wasn't planned, but they were having a Friday and Saturday promotional weekend there. Yeah, interesting actually. I mean, as I said to, you know, the guy I deal with there, it's not different enough to make me want to swap this out for the new Niro EV. There's a few things that I think are better about it. It is a more composed ride. It's slightly kind of softer and more well controlled than this one. Although, to be honest, on these smooth French roads, this car on long hauls has always been, we found, you know, very comfortable. I thought the wheels were 18 inches on the new one, but it wasn't. It was they were 17-inch wheels, so not riding on any different kind of tyres, size tyres really. The drive mode button is where it should be on the steering wheel, not like here down on the centre console. But I thought that some of the materials in the new one are better, like here where the cup holders go. It was had a more solid rubbery feel. This is more kind of scratchy plastics, but actually around the tops of the doors and the center console, I think this is better quality. Some of it's just got a better look and feel, and really, I mean, this one is now 5 years old, and I've got to say it's holding up really well. Saying just coming up to 100,000 kilometers, you know, 60-something thousand miles, and yeah, I mean, it is holding up really well. The only thing that's ever gone wrong with this car is a 12-volt battery, which we had to change. It never left us stranded, thankfully. It was always, you know, come out in the morning and car won't power up because of the 12-volt batteries failed, and you know, that's when we got ourselves one of those battery booster things, which kept us going for a few days. That it took me to get hold of another 12-volt battery with a higher amp hour rating. So that Bosch has been in for about 2.5 years now, and that seems okay. So yeah, I mean, 5 years old today. It's been absolutely brilliant. It's got one stone chip that's noticeable on the front bonnet, but it hasn't spread. I've looked at the paint there. It's aluminium anyway, and it just took the top layer of paint off. There's no sign of any rust starting because the tailgate and the bonnet on this are aluminium, as I say. And you know, it's I gotta say, it's better. It feels better than any other 5-year-old car that I've owned or driven with this kind of mileage on. But then again, there's very little mechanical wear. You don't get that constant vibration of every time you start an internal combustion engine, it's putting things under stress, and you know, bits of metal are rubbing against each other. I think electric cars are going to last a hell of a lot longer than internal combustion engine cars. That's for sure. In terms of when they get really old and they get a problem with them, I think what will happen is you'll diagnose the problem, change the part, and it will stay fixed for longer. Whereas, you know, I've run, you know, 10, 12, 15-year-old internal combustion engine cars, and yeah, the starter motor goes, so you change that, and then a year, 18 months later, the water pump goes, and and it's just constantly all these subsystems that exist in an internal combustion engine which aren't even an issue here. I mean, you know, there's no gearbox. The motor just turns in the same direction as the car's going. There's no reciprocating movements to be translated through a gearbox and valves and pistons and crankshafts and all that other sort of Heath Robinson stuff that the petrol heads love. And to be quite honest, I used to love it too. I think, you know, an internal combustion engine is really, if you look at the cutaway drawings, a thing of beauty, but it's very complex and it's got 2,000 moving parts at least, and you say, wow, what an achievement over 100 years to get a thing to be so reliable and smooth. And you know, the modern petrol and diesel engines are very reliable, very smooth, but they're not in the same league as electric motors. I mean, electric motors are just going to prove there will soon be electric motors that have done 1 million miles if there isn't one already. So yeah, and how do I feel about the design of the car, having just seen the new one? Well, when the new one came out, the Niro EV, it's been out about 18 months now, I think, I thought, oh yeah, that's a bit more cutting edge, it's a bit more aggressive, but I don't think it's worn very well. I've seen a few around and it hasn't stood the test of time, and especially that side view, which is really not as good as, I don't think, as a side view on this one. I like the chromy bits on this that I have to say, they've, again, on this car, they look really good. They've held up very well. I don't think it looks so good with the paint coloured door handle. And I think, to be honest, the Hyundai Kona, which has only been around certainly on roads here for about 4 or 5 months, and we've just seen one actually because the Hyundai dealer's right next door to the Kia dealers, and I think it looks better than the Niro EV. And from the reviews I've read, everyone says, oh, it drives better, it's that bit quieter. And I mean, you know, the Niro EV was very, very quiet, maybe slightly quieter than this, but there's nothing in it really. And the charging speeds are the same. I wouldn't really change this for either that or the new Hyundai Kona. I haven't driven that one yet. I mean, to be honest, when we got this car in 2019, March 2019, there were barely 100,000 battery electric vehicles on the roads of France. There's now just over 1 million. So 5 years, it's 10 times. You know, we've gone from 100,000 to 1 million. Will we go from 1 million to 10 million in another 5 years? No, I don't think so. I think by 2029, when this is 10 years old, there'll be about 10% of all the cars on the roads of France will be EVs, maybe 15%. I think there'll be about 4 million EVs on the roads here. But it's accelerating all the time, the sales of EVs. And in fact, when we were in the dealer, we saw the EV9, this beast of a thing, massive, and it's only just become available here, and he said they've sold one so far, but it's too big. I mean, it'll do well in the United States, Australia, Canada, places like that. I think it's about 80,000 euros here, and I had to sit in it, and it was all ready to be switched on, so you could see how everything worked. And it's like a Range Rover kind of sized vehicle, and it really is a sort of tour de force, I think, of what Kia can do at the moment. Well, Hyundai Kia Group anyway. But I think the Kona's going to sell better because, of course, that's made in Czech Republic, and the batteries, I think, come from Poland. So it's a European-made vehicle, whereas the Kias are all still made in Korea. But anyway, the other thing is, he said to me that the EV5, which there are pictures around of at the moment, which is made in China, they won't see that here this year. They'll see it next year, but there will be an EV3 coming right at the back end of this year, and that's a kind of the size, he said, of the Kia Rio. So it's sort of I don't know, is that like the MG4 or a sort of VW Golf type size car, or a bit smaller? Don't know. Anyway, EV3 is coming to France late this year. So, you know, we need more small sort of normal cars, the kind of cars that most people here buy and drive. But it was quite something to see that EV9 today. So anyway, yeah, I really appreciate the comments and the questions I've had about range and battery degradation, all these kind of things. As I say, I've not seen any battery degradation. I've not seen any range loss, should I correct myself there, in 5 years. Battery degradation there must be, because every time you charge and discharge, you must lose something. So there's a battery buffer on all these cars, and this one is 3.5 kilowatt hours. And when I had the battery health check done in the 90,000 service, they tested all the cells. There's 294 cells in the pack, and they all come up to nominal voltage. And of course, there is a headroom at the top of each cell and a floor on the bottom, so it never lets you go to 0 volts, and it keeps you away from the theoretical maximum voltage on each cell, until, of course, the buffer is used up, and then you will see some range loss on the car, but no sign of it so far. So anyway, hope you found that interesting. There is a follow-up. I'm going to just put all the numbers for the last year. You see how many kilometers we've done and what the average efficiency has been, and which hasn't changed actually, and what the public charging costs have been. I find it difficult to do the total cost because, of course, I've got solar panels here, so what I put into the car is netted off by the amount of solar. In fact, more so. Solar produces slightly more in a year than the car uses. But what I'll do is I'll imagine that I'm paying normal electric rates here to give you some idea of what the cost would be if I didn't have solar. Anyway, thank you for watching. Until the next time.